In this video, we're going to cover advanced reports. Advanced reports are just like standard reports, except for the fact that you physically draw the report. You draw the lines, you can do calculated fields, division, multiplication, subtraction, addition. You can group. So there are more features that you can design when you use the advanced report. You can put logos on it, things like that. So if you actually have some sort of receiving document or delivery document that you currently use, you could actually draw that same exact report in advanced reports and print it out, and Windfall would automatically populate the fields. That way you would no longer have to use a handwritten report. So advanced reports is this icon right here to the left of the eye. So as you can see, it's a grid filter type of drawing of a report. So it's just like standard reports in the fact that you still have to put tables and fields on the report. So on this report, this first report I'm going to build is a calculated field report we're going to do the quantity times the weight. So we can see what the weight of all pieces are in the quantity, and then I want a grand total of all my weight in the warehouse for that given customer, just for that given customer currently in the warehouse. Not what's ever been in the warehouse, but what I currently have in terms of weight and quantity times weight. So to start, we have to do what we normally do in standard reports, add the tables and the fields. So it's the icon with the white page and the blue bar across. So as you can see, we're under tables, fields, stored procedures. So the tab tables and fields is highlighted. So first we pick the table, and just like in standard reports, I'm going to select like a tree, and I'm going to pick customer first. And this part is a little different than standard because you just highlight and you hit the arrow to move it under use tables. Then you highlight the tables, and then the fields show up down below. And then you highlight what fields you want to use under that specific table. So I want to use customer name, and then I move it over. What's nice about this is you don't have to keep hitting the add button like you do in standard reports. So the next table I want is inventory. So I highlight inventory and I move it under use tables. Then I highlight inventory again and I select my fields that I want to see under the inventory. So I want to see tag number. I want to see description because I want to know what it is. Oops, I don't want to see image. And then since it's a quantity times weight report, I want to see the weight. And then to get the quantity, remember in standard reports there's two tables where you can get quantity from. That's inventory history table and inventory item location table. Since we want to see what's just currently in the warehouse, we're going to choose the inventory item location table. So we'll select inventory item location, move it over to use tables, highlight inventory item location, select quantity and move it over. So currently on the report we have customer name, tag number, description, weight, and quantity. So that's all I currently want on this report. That's all I want to see. Now I want to filter. If I don't filter by something specific, just like in standard reports, it'll pull all my data for all my customers, all the tags, all the descriptions, everything. I just want to run this report for a specific customer. So then I go into filters, orders by tab up at the top. And under filters here, I hit the plus sign. And from tables, I hit the browse and I select customer because I want to filter it by a specific customer. Operand is equal. The field is, I want to select customer, cus name. Remember, you have to have a table and a field. So I highlight cus name. And over here by the value, I hit the browse button and I select which customer I want to filter by. And then I hit add. Then close. So now I'm filtering by one specific thing, which is customer. You can filter by multiple items, just like I showed you in standard reports, but in this one we're just going to filter by a specific customer. Then we say OK. So once we click OK, you can see that the fields show up on the left-hand side. Also, like I said before, I want to do a calculated field. I want to do quantity times weight. So I also must include my calculated field. So I go back up to fields, tables, and go to the calculated fields tab. You can only go to calculated fields after you select the fields you want to view on the report. So calculated fields, field name, I hit the plus sign. What do I want to call this field name? You just name it whatever you want. So I want to just call it total weight. Then down here is where you select the formula for the calculated field. So I hit the plus sign. And what fields do I want to calculate? The first one, you select the first one. I want to do weight times quantity. So I scroll down and I find inventory.weight because that's my table and my field. Okay, and then I hit the add again. And then the operator is the calculation. So you have plus, minus, multiply, divide. I want a times. And then I pick times, inventory, item location, quantity. Because that's what I want to do. I want to calculate weight times quantity. And then I say okay. And then to the left you can see in the fields groups it added that name total weight for me. So now I have the fields on the report. So what's different in advanced and instead of standard is you're going to click and drag the fields over to the report. So as you can see in the gray bars up here, it tells you what part of the report you're in. This is the page header, this is detail, page footer. So the header you want to think of as the top of the report, the header. So you want to pull this down a little bit so you can put your headers in because you have to draw your own column names and headers. So I'm going to put my customer name in the header. So I just highlight cust name over here and I click and I drag and I throw it in the header. And then over here I can center it. And whatever you click on the blue squares here is what you're doing, what you're adjusting. So I'm clicking on this box and I'm going to expand it a little more, my customer name, so it fits nicely. So then I want to put my fields on the report. So I'm going to put my fields in the detail, under detail. So I can put my fields how I want to display. So I want to see my tag number first, so I click and drag my tag number here. Then I click and drag my description next to it. And then I'm going to pull this a little longer because descriptions tend to be longer. Then I'm going to do my weight. And my weight is usually short, so I don't need that much space, so I can shrink my weight size field. And then I want to do my quantity. And then I can shrink that as well. And then I want to do my total weight. So right now, if I open this report, it's just like standard with the white page with the magnifying glass. I'm going to have much space in between each line item right now. So if I preview the report, I can see that I have the tag number, the description, the weight, the quantity, and the total weight. But I don't want space in between each one. So I close the report and I lift my page footer right underneath. So now I won't have spaces in between each one. And it looks cleaner. Also, my description needs to be a little longer. So with our advanced reports, you're constantly closing and reopening the report to adjust how you want it to look. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to drag down your fields a little bit in order to lengthen description. So I can lengthen my description. Now I can view. So that's longer. I can also draw lines. So if I want a line above to separate my header from my data, I can use this little tab here. This draws a line. Makes a little cross and you draw a line. And then you view and now you have a line. And then you can put the headers above. So maybe I want my customer name to be bold and larger. So whatever you have highlighted in is what you're going to work in this property toolbox over here. So I'm right-clicking, unchecking that, and rechecking that to bring this back here. Stretch this out a little bit so I can see. So as you can see, I'm highlighted on customer name. So under font, I want to browse and I want to make it bold and I want to make it size 20. So I say OK. So then I can pull my customer name down a little bit more and stretch it out and open the report. It looks a little nicer there. Then I can draw my text boxes above for my headers. So this is a text box here. So I click on my text box, I draw a little box, and then over in my property toolbox to the right where it says text, field 7, I type in what the header is. So I say tag number. And I also want to make this bold, so I go up to my font, and I make it bold, and I'll do size 12 for that. So I have tag number there. Then I hit text box again, draw another box over my next one for my next header, and in my field box I write what this is, description. And I want to make it bold and size 12 just like the other one. And then I can pull this out a little bit more and move it down so it's centered. And then I have my text box again. I draw that over. And this is my weight field. And I'm going to make it bold and size 12. And then I have my quantity field, so I hit text box again. Draw a box. And I say quantity. And then my font, I want to select bold and 12. Pull this down a little bit. And then I have my last text box, which is total weight. So I'm going to call that total weight. And then again, I'm going to make it bold and size 12. Let's stretch that out. And you can view your report. And that's what it looks like. So I see that I have to do some rearranging and move some things over. So I can move this over a little bit, move this one over so it lines up correctly, pull this to make it fit. And then you keep opening and closing your report till you get what you need. So here's my tag, my description, my weight, my quantity, my total weight for each piece. I can also move my customer name up some to get it out of the way. You can also use check boxes if for whatever reason you want to put a little check box next to each piece. So when you view, you have a check box. If you need to mark off anything, you can do the check box like that. And then what I said before is I wanted a grand total on the bottom. So what I could do is I could draw another line underneath everything. And then I would highlight report footer, right click and select report header footer. Lift this up, and in my report footer I'm going to draw a text box again. And I'm going to call it total weight. Change my font to bold, size 14. Whoops. And you put total weight here. And then over to the right, I say summary running, I select all, and then summary type, I want grand total because I want a grand total of my weight. And then I view, whoops, my line's a little messed up. And it's on my second page, there's my grand total of my weight. But I do not like this line, so I'll have to adjust my line, delete that line, then I can view again, looks a little nicer, and then on the bottom, I have my total weight. So that's how you can do total weight and grand total on a report and calculated fields. So that's an example of why you would use an advanced report. You can also, like I mentioned before, you can put on logos or images. So for example, if I wanted to add an image to each piece, I would go back into fields, groups, and aggregates. I would highlight inventory because image is located under the inventory tab in Windfall. Highlight inventory. I'd find image location on the fields, bring it over. So now I have an image location. I say OK. And now image location shows in my fields list to the left. And then I'm going to drag that over on my report where I want to see it. So I'm going to get rid of this checkbox so I can fit everything on here. So maybe I want to move these over so I can put my image. Move these fields over. So you click on image, or excuse me, you click up here on add data bound image. What portion of the report do you want to see the data bound image? I want to see it in detail. What control name do you want to call it? I just call it image. And then from which field do you want to pull the image? And I say inventory.image location. Then I say OK. And you can't see it too well, but it creates a little box here. Whoops. There's the box. So you just click and drag it over. And then when you view it, you can see the image as well. So now you see the image for each piece. Like I mentioned before, you can also add a logo. To do that, you use this image icon. This is add data bound image. That's an image for each inventory piece. This image icon is to add a logo. So what you can do is click on this, and then you draw a box wherever you want to put the logo. And then to the right, where it says picture, you browse to where the logo is saved on your computer. So you browse, and then you open which folder the image is on. So I can put this image right here and then view it. And that would be my logo. And then you, of course, would have to click and drag and make it look nicer and adjust it on how you wanted it to look. For example, let me bring you up some advanced reports that we build. Just like anything, we have all examples of advanced reports on our help site, on our help website. Also, you can request help with the advanced report because it takes a little finesse and clicking and moving things around. But there's also examples online as well. So let me just show you some other examples. We have a receiving report. This is like what I was talking about before. If you have a receiving ticket or a delivery ticket that you may want to draw in Windfall, this is an example of what it may look like. So you could draw any kind of lines or boxes, and then you just pull the fields over onto the report where you want them to display. So when you view them, it looks like an actual receiving report, a delivery report. And all this in the bottom is actually just text, typed text. So this is an example of how you can just create any types of reports that you want in Windfall and just populate it with your Windfall data that you collected. Now I'm just going to go over one more report in advance that is a common report that's built, and that's grouping. Typically, grouping is used when you use articles, when you create articles and when you bring articles into inventory. So we'll hit white page to add new. And just like before, we have to our first step is to know what type of report we're building, and we'll have to select our fields, groups, and aggregates in our tables. So what I want to do is build what I currently have in the warehouse report with articles. And I don't want to see each article every time it's been brought in like an activity report. On an activity report, if you bring in the same article multiple times, it creates a line in standard reports for each time you brought in an article. So it would say on 9/8, CH100 was brought in to this location and the quantity was 5. And then the next line would say CH100 on 9/8 was brought in a quantity of 12 into F02, and it would do it line by line. But if I just wanted a report to just show me the total quantity of CH100s and not show me line by line each time it came in, I would have to build an advanced report in order to group. So first I'm going to go to fields, groups, and aggregates and add my tables and fields. So once again, I'm going to select customer first, move it over, highlight customer. Then I select my customer name, bring it over. Then I select inventory table, bring over that inventory table, highlight inventory, and then I'm selecting article number. I bring article number over, and anything under inventory data-wise that I want to display, such as description. And then I want quantity, and remember it's what I currently have in the warehouse, so it's from inventory item location, because if it contains a location, then it's in the warehouse. So inventory item location, bring it over, highlight inventory item location, select quantity, bring that over. And then if I selected inventory item location, now I can select location as a table to view on my report. So I highlight location and I bring that over. Then from there I can highlight location and select location tag and bring that over. Now once again, if I currently run this report, since I'm not filtering by anything, it'll run this report for everybody in the warehouse. So I don't want that. I want it by a specific customer. So I go into filters and order by, and what am I filtering by? I hit the plus sign, my table is customer, I select cus name, my operand is equal, and then my value is which customer name do I want to filter this report by. So I select hotel, I hit add, close, okay. So now all my fields are over here. And let me show you what I mean by it'll show it line by line. So if I really quickly throw these fields on the report, you can see what I mean by line. So I'm putting article, description, quantity. I'm going to make quantity smaller, and location. So then if I bring this up and view it, you can see that it shows the same piece twice because I brought it in at 2 different times. So it's showing me each time I brought it in. Well, I just want to see it once with a total of 2. I don't want to see it each time. So that's why I mean by you have to group. And how you do that is you close this out, and then we're going to delete these off here because we have to group. So what I do is I click in the detail tab and I pull it down a little bit so I can have some headers. I right click and I select insert group header footer. So my group header is what I'm grouping by. So I'm grouping by the article number because that's what I want to see a total of is my article. So I do my group header, and to the right in my property toolbox where it says data field, I want to select article number, inventory.article number, because that's what I'm going to group by. Then my next step is to go into the fields, tables, and groups again. Go into filter order by. Down where it says order by, I want to hit the plus sign, and I want to order by article number as well. So tables, article number is a field under the inventory table, so I browse and I select inventory, okay, and it's highlighted on article number, so I hit add, close, and then okay. So that's what I'm grouping by. Then I pull up my page footer so I don't have any spaces. You want all the grades together so you don't have space between everything. So then I pull this down, and then I'm going to put my cus name at my header, stretch it out a little bit, center it, and once again I can change my font to bold and make it bigger. And then my group, I want to put article number because I want to see my article number, my description, and I'll pull my description a little longer because description's longer, my quantity, lessen that up a bit, and then my location. And then I pull this up so I don't have space. Then I view again. And then here we have, as you can see, it just shows, excuse me, the article number once. But now we need to make sure that we have our quantities correct. So then we highlight quantity here. And then to the right in the property toolbox, where it says summary group, we select group 1. And the type is a subtotal because we want a subtotal of that group. And then we view. Now it shows us the total amount of inventory for each one of these articles. So this article has 13 in inventory. This article has 1. This article has 100. This has 9. Also, we want to take location off the report because all of those pieces may not be in that location. If we want to view which location they're all in individually with a group, we'll have to create a different report to see the location as well because some of those pieces may not all be in that location. So we just want to see a group of quantities, not necessarily where they're located. It's a separate report if we want the quantities along with the location. So right now, once again, if we review this, of bookcases. Here's the description and how many we currently have in inventory. And that's how you group. And that's a common type of report that people often request is, I don't want to see this duplicated. And it's not technically duplicated, it's just showing you the activity of how many times you've touched that article. Because articles can be in multiple customers, they can be in multiple locations, and they could have different quantities in different locations. So that's how you would use advanced reports. Also, we have different functionalities up here for advanced reports. This is to export the report to Excel or PDF. Like I mentioned before, all of our reports you can export to Excel or PDF except for the canned reports. Those you can only export to PDF. This is an advanced report wizard. If you click on this icon, it'll walk you through creating advanced reports. It's a nice little tool to use when you're first learning how to use advanced reports. This is the page settings. So when you click on that, you can set the page to portrait or landscape, and you could adjust the margins of the paper. This, once again, is add a data-bound image, so you can add an image of the piece to the report. This is the tables and fields. This is to preview the report. This is to save as the report. So, for example, if you have this report and you want to use it for multiple customers, this will just automatically save it. But when you reopen it again, you can save as and label it something different, so you can use the same report for multiple customers. This opens the report. This opens it when you have saved it and closed it out. If you want to reopen it and go back into Windfall, you open it through this open folder. And once again, that's the white page to add new. So just remember, whatever you have highlighted is what you're working in this property toolbox to the right. So if something's highlighted in this section of blue is what you're working with to the right. Any type of calculations or numeric fields that you use, you're going to use the summary function, the summary distinct field, the summary group, the summary running, the summary type. And all these fields to the left are the data fields. You can also create blocks and shapes by clicking on this and create some sort of shape if you just want to have a shape for when you're designing those receiving or delivery reports and you want to draw boxes to enter maybe an order number or any type of numeric field or any type of text box field you want to create, you can do in here. Like I said before, this is to create lines. This is to add a logo. This is a checkbox. And this is a text box. So those are the main ones that you typically use. You can also extend the margins this way, but as you'll notice, when you preview the report, it puts a red line. So the red line means that's the end of the page. So these icons up here, and then you also have bold, and all these icons, bold, italic, and underlined, you can use our center, or just like I said before, you can just use the property toolbox on the right. Also, if you right-click in the grid up here, you can either select to choose what to view in advanced reports. If you don't want to view the property toolbox, if it's not displaying correctly on your screen, you can uncheck that to not display. And to turn everything back on or off is just right-clicking in the grid and selecting or deselecting which options you want to view on the grid. So those are some examples of advanced reports that you may or may not want to utilize.